Welcome to Keep the Game Beautiful podcast. Each week, I highlight incredible people who are doing amazing things in soccer, the beautiful game. I'm Anna Turi, your host. Thank you for listening. Today, I'm excited to talk to Abbie Metz about so many different things. One of the main reasons I wanted to talk to her was to talk about Blackhawk College, both brand new teams, but she is the women's coach, and I was really excited to talk to her about that. But we talk about so many other things as well, like why she fell in love with the game. We talk about self-journaling and self-reflection. Along with this conversation, we kind of start talking about her faith and why it's so important to her. And this is always such an interesting and great conversation to learn about because it's so important that we understand everyone's faith and we can help to benefit them in any way possible. We talked about some of the things players can do to self-reflect as well. And Duke Tech brand is a great brand to help out with that. I know I haven't been the best self-reflector in the past, but as I get into high school season, I'm excited to start using some of my Duke Tech brand products more and really getting into the reflection and watching my games and learning from them. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Today's guest is Abbie Metz. Abbie played high school soccer and is a Blackhawk College graduate. She has had all types of coaching experience ranging in all different ages. She has spent time coaching with Sporting Iowa East as well. Abbie is also the head coach of the women's team at Blackhawk College, which was one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to her today. So, Abbie, I'm wondering if you'd like to add anything else or talk about what got you to where you are today.
Well, thank you for having me. I think a lot of determination and trying to go in the right direction. There were a lot of obstacles to get to where I am today with Blackhawk. I played at Saint Ambrose as well for 2 seasons and was the junior varsity coach my last semester there. But yeah, it's been a very interesting and fun journey with some obstacles there to get where I want to be today.
On this podcast, I always start with the same 3 questions. First, what does the beautiful game mean to you?
The beautiful game, it's just no matter where you go in the world, it's the same language. It's just no play is ever the same. You can't really it's not like basketball or football where you can really set up a play. And if you do, it's probably not going to go to exact format. It's just so fun to see. I've worked, like you said, I worked with so many age groups. It's so fun to see light bulbs go off. You might be preaching something for a long time and just not understanding. And then finally they get it and light bulb goes off and so many beautiful things happen from that. So it's just really fun to see all across the world how everyone can somewhat play the same.
What are actions or things you do to keep the game beautiful?
I think that staying professional is one. Showing respect, no matter who you're speaking with, coaching. I think that's another thing. Soccer can be a little feisty sometimes, so I think it's important to keep everything in check. I think that's a big thing.
How do you encourage others to keep the game beautiful?
And another one would be again respect. To just really learn from who really kind of set the path before us. For the women, it would be the 1991 team, and a little bit before that. They really paved the way for us to have a voice, not just with soccer, but with women's athletics in general. Such a monumental thing in the 90s. But just to always remember where we came from and just how much further we can go forward.
Starting off, can you talk a little bit about why you started to play soccer?
Yeah, I'm from Peoria, Illinois originally, and that's a very big soccer city in Illinois. And we had soccer at our grade school, so everyone pretty much played that. And then in third grade, I got involved with the travel team and played travel all the way up through eighth grade. And then, then moved here to the Quad Cities. The team that I would have played with, they went to state for, I think, 4 years in a row for Peoria Notre Dame. So that's awesome for them. We had a really good team. I just really loved soccer, just kind of like how your topic, to keep it beautiful, it's just a really fun game. There's just so many different things you can do, and some people just think it's just kicking a ball and running down a field, and I mean, yeah, that's what it is, but there's so many dynamics that you can't talk about with people who don't know soccer because they just don't get it. It's just running and kicking a ball, so there's so much more.
Sometimes at practices or games, it's not fun anymore. How do you encourage players, or how do you keep practices fun?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, sometimes it does. It gets really redundant, especially for coaches too. Team building exercises, maybe have a session where it's just, I don't want to say fun and games, but do things maybe with our hands, like handball, things like that. Or maybe we'll have a session where we're going to watch like a soccer movie or something, just like it's still soccer related, but sometimes you just need to take the focus off the field and get back to reality a little bit and regroup, because seasons can be very long.
When you chose to go to Blackhawk College, how did you make this decision to not play soccer and choose education over playing?
Yeah, that was really hard. Blackhawk at the time, as we know, didn't have a program. It was hard. It would have benefited me a lot having played at Saint Ambrose, but I knew that I wasn't ready for a 4-year school to begin with. So going to Blackhawk was really a good choice for me academically, to get my grade point up and to get those prerequisites out of the way for a much cheaper price. I would have loved to have been playing at the collegiate level, although I was playing for a women's league, but it benefited me academically, and overall that's most important. But yeah, it would have been great to have played at the collegiate level before going to St. Ambrose.
How do you encourage players to consider the academics as well instead of just playing?
Right, yeah. I think a lot of the girls that I've talked to and are thinking about coming, they already kind of have a mindset that they have a plan of what they want to do. Some obviously going to college, you don't quite know yet. It's a big decision at 18 to make. But I really tell them that, the long-term goal is a career. This is a big privilege to be playing soccer no matter where you go, any sport. And I just really I'm a guide for them to, on the field and off the field, to pursue whatever it is that they want to do. And I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that those goals are met for them.
Because you were a student athlete yourself, do you find that you're able to help them through the balance of coaching, of playing and school as well?
Yeah, I think that I will definitely help them a lot, because it is a lot to balance, because you're an athlete, you're a student. Some will work maybe part-time if they have time, but they also have a social life. So it's a lot to juggle, but a lot of college is time management, no matter where you go. And that's, I think, the biggest thing you learn is how to juggle all the activities and responsibilities that you're involved in. And I think having a coach, and I think most coaches probably have played at the collegiate level, to teach their student athletes those things. You have to pick priority wise what's most important and go from there.
Why did you decide to transfer, to move on to play a little bit more and to further your education?
I decided Blackhawk is a community college, so I got my prerequisites out of the way, and St. Ambrose offered me a little bit of money to play soccer there, and why not go to school and play soccer and kind of get the full experience of college. And it was a great opportunity. I loved both experiences at Blackhawk and St. Ambrose, very different, but they both really molded me to be who I am today. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time playing at St. Ambrose.
How are you hoping to prepare your players to play at another place in the future?
Um, Definitely the mentality of soccer. I think it's important for players to not only be coachable, but to adapt to coaches' philosophy, because all coaches have a different philosophy, a different way they approach the game, tactically, technically, and I think it's important for players to be open to that, and um, and to maybe you don't agree with it, but just go with it, and then eventually it will work out. And I want to get them to whatever school it is that they want to go to. If it's a small school, a big school, I want to get them to where they can play and contribute. And I think we can do that at Blackhawk, definitely.
What are some of your coaching philosophies?
Good question. I'm a big fundamentalist. If we can't get the fundamentals down, it's going to be hard to do the fun, crazy things. If you can't trap a ball, it's going to be hard to cross it and hope that someone has a good touch to finish. So definitely that. I'm not a screamer or a yeller. I do, have my moments where I get mad, but I think you have to pick and choose. Those moments so that they're effective. I really just talk to my players, kind of like we're talking right now. I want their input on things. At halftime, I'll let them have a talk, like tell me what they're seeing, and it's a conversation. I want them to know that I'm listening to them. I might not always agree, and they might not always agree with me, but we have that open dialogue. And just really, fitness is big. Especially if you don't always have the most skillful team. If you can outlast a team, you might get that little bit of luck and get that goal in the back of the net to tie it or maybe to win it. So that's definitely, I think, what would describe me best.
Managing emotions is something that can be hard for all coaches. How have you worked to develop your emotion level and being able to manage them?
Um, I think as I've gotten older, not to take things so personally, and that's still hard to do. And then also dealing with female players that, I mean, were emotional. So it's just, I think again, it comes to communication, and make sure that that communication is always open. Things can be taken in the wrong context. And I think it's important that everyone is on the same page of things before things get out of control. So I would definitely have to say that.
Can you talk a little bit about what made you want to coach?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to coach basketball. It's kind of funny. I loved basketball when I was little, more than I loved soccer for some reason. But soccer, I think I was probably better at. My dad was a coach before I was born, actually, and coached me through the years, and I just wanted to be like him. And I love teaching. I love kids. I love, like I said earlier, light bulbs going off and things making sense, and seeing their smiles and enjoyment. Yeah, I might have helped them, but they did it. It's just fun to have that atmosphere, that environment, to be competitive. I just have always wanted to coach college soccer, and here it is. It's kind of still unreal that the dream is here. It's upon me. So
Who have some of your mentors been throughout your coaching journey so far?
as I mentioned, my dad, for sure. Also, a basketball coach from Rock Island, Lori Anderson. She was my first female coach competitively, and I really liked that. I never had a female coach that was super competitive, and I liked that edge, and it was fun to see a female coach females, so it was something that you didn't see much of. So definitely those two. And probably my first travel coach. He was my first coach outside of like my dad coaching me. So it was good to hear another voice, another temperament, someone who is different pushing me. So I think those three played a big role.
Earlier, you had mentioned a little bit about loving kids and loving the youth game as well. How important is it that no matter your level of experience, you stay involved with the youth game?
I think it's very important. I Kids are just they're like sponges. They pick everything up, and it's amazing how fast. Like even a skill that might be beyond their level, they're still going to try it, and they're not fearful of failure. They'll keep trying, and I think that's so important um, to try to bring to the older ages, because once someone makes a mistake, they get down, they don't want to do it anymore. So it's refreshing to always help little kids and to give back. Um, you never know what to expect, so that's kind of fun too with little kids.
How can we create an environment of not being afraid to fail in older age levels as well?
Um, that's a really good question. I think probably pressure. Um, I think sometimes in the competitive realm of things and travel sports, the competitiveness overplays the performance. So players are already psyching themselves out. So it's hard to play but not be competitive. There would be a fine medium. I don't know what that would be, but I think pressure and just laying off of like winning, losing. I know that's the goal and that's so important, but the most important thing is to develop, and then winning and losing will come, um, at the college level, at the high school level. Some make it to the professional level. So I think it's a medium between those things.
I'll share from my personal experience, and
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Sometimes there's so much pressure as a player that you don't want to make a mistake, even in practice sometimes. And that's what I'm working on myself. What advice would you give to a player that's afraid to fail and even in a practice?
Right. But we all fail. I mean, we've all made mistakes, and that's one of my things as a coach. You said my coaching style. If someone makes a mistake in a game or practice, I'm not gonna probably say anything because I already know that or that they know. Maybe it was like a couple of players. Um, we might talk about how we could do better, but I think um, you just know when you make a mistake, and that's how you learn. I've made so many mistakes coaching, just in life, and looking back, and you reflect on it, you learn from it, and maybe you'll never do that, whatever it was again, whether it was like a job or something else. um, but you just learn, and I think that's the biggest thing that sport should teach us is learning, because we're never going to be perfect. So just really learn from your mistakes. You're a goalkeeper, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean, watching film, you see something. I've watched myself play. I'm like, why did I do that? Why didn't I go to the left instead of to the right? But yeah, it's those things, and you're in the moment, and yeah, you just have to be nice to yourself. And as an athlete, and as a female athlete in life, it's the hardest thing is to be nice to yourself. I am living proof of that. I'm the hardest on myself than I am anyone else. So.
I was just going to ask you something along those lines. How do you bounce back from mistakes as a coach?
That's another good question. Honestly, a lot of it is prayer. I do a coach's Bible every day. There's passage and things like that, so I'm always in some kind of prayer. Sometimes I try not to. It's not me, so I try to reflect on that someone higher is in control, and then I remind myself it's just a game. It's not war. Life will go on. I have put kids in the wrong situations or wrong positions, and I've learned from it. And sometimes it's the hard way. We lose the championship or what have you. But yeah, I mean, it's a part of life. And I try not to take it to the next game or to the next practice or to the dinner table or wherever I'm going next. And that's hard. It's hard as a coach not to do that. But I think in time, as I've matured, I've gotten better at that. But normally, yeah, I just kind of give it to God and try to let it go as much as humanly possible.
I remember a little bit back, I saw a video of something along the lines of FCA, and I wanted to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about your faith today. How important is it to you as a coach, a player, and just a person?
I my faith is so important. It's definitely gotten me through very big obstacles. Growing up, I had awful anxiety and depression. Probably started in about the second grade, and just it was a really hard time. It was before anxiety and depression, as we know it today, is talked about all the time, which is great. Um, but it was just a really hard time, and I really had to turn to something bigger. And luckily my family is very spiritual and faithful. So I think it's important. I would hope that athletes have something higher, whether it's Jesus or something else. I hope that. I think FCA is a great thing, a great program. I would love to do something like that at Blackhawk if allowed. I just think that something higher is in control, and it's always teaching us a lesson.
We have a FC at my high school. I don't it's been it haven't hasn't been very active during
Right.
COVID now, but I'm excited to kind of keep going to meetings and keep staying involved. How do you encourage your players? Maybe it's not Jesus, but how do you encourage them to find a higher power if they're struggling through something?
Yeah. I currently at Blackhawk, no one right now, but in the past, I just kind of asked them um, kind of where they're at on the spectrum and give them my background and things like that. And if they've thought about it, and just maybe just take time to just, I guess, reflect and look back and see if that would maybe help, because currently what's going on isn't helping. So maybe going somewhere else might be a good idea. And maybe starting out reading just a reflection book, maybe you read every day in it. Everyone has their own spiritual journey. And I mean, I was baptized, geez, when I was a newborn, and I bet I was reborn probably I think it was 2013. So I think we're always reborn throughout our lifetime during different events. And I definitely hope that I have led some people in the direction of finding something higher, whether it's been with words or actions or, I don't know, something.
Now, for the question of the day, why did you start up a brand new program?
Well, Blackhawk actually had a donation to the college in general, and they had kind of divvied up how they wanted it to be broken up, and a huge portion went to start up a men's and women's program. And they've been wanting to start soccer program for both men's and women's at Blackhawk, but it's just very expensive. And without this donation, it would not be possible. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So we're very thankful for that donation and to be able to do this, because we have really great soccer talent here in the Quad Cities. And we really just want to utilize them, get them on their feet academically, athletically, and get them to the next level so they can go to the college that they want to go to and already have 2 years under the belt. And when they go to that campus, they're an upperclassman and feel pretty good.
What's something you wish you knew before starting this whole process?
Oh goodness. Well, I wish that COVID was over, because a lot of things wouldn't. I know I'm not the only one, but it's been a big obstacle. Um, I think I don't know if it's something I've known or wish I would have known. Ask me that next year, but I think right now it's just staying patient through the COVID, and girls still not quite being decisive yet of what they want to do. It's a big decision, and I know that the last year hasn't been easy on the juniors, now seniors, this last year. So I think it's kind of in the back of their mind. They want to play, but it's just been a really weird year. So I'll have a better answer next year.
I
I'm
was going
still
to ask you a little bit
learning.
about COVID and the struggles you've had during COVID years. How have you had players contact you and connect, and how have you seen players through COVID times?
Yeah, I've done a lot of Zoom meetings. A lot of those from girls that live in the Quad Cities, in Illinois, Iowa, Texas, Arkansas. We've done a lot of those. I've gone to showcases, some texting, a couple different apps, Field Level and NCSA, to get a hold of people. I have had some campus visits where they're able to tour the college, and then we kind of have a one-on-one. So yeah, it's been able to happen. It's been different. So I'm looking forward to when all of this is in the background and we can move forward without COVID, to see what a real season and recruiting system would look like, because I think it would be much smoother and yeah, just better. But it's an obstacle, and we're going to learn, and it's, for some reason, it'll make next year seem so much easier.
Mhm. As you continue to start up this progress, how do you work with other coaches in your area?
I've been communicating more now that Illinois is going to have a spring season for girls, because that was kind of up in the air for the Illinois sports. I've been communicating with the coaches quite a bit to come to games and open gyms, and they'll be practicing here soon. So just getting a good, I guess, college to high school relationship, because I know some of the coaches from when I played and when I coached at Allman High School. So it's just kind of getting that new relationship, just a different status. So just communicating with them. And I know quite a few of the players here on the Illinois side, and some on the Iowa side with being with Sporting Iowa, but just really getting that dynamic down with the high school coaches.
What is it like when you know the player that you're trying to recruit, and you've coached them or you've played against them? What's that environment like?
It's fun. You want them even more. Yeah, it's definitely a fun environment. It's fun to see them to play and to excel, and it's enjoyable. Even though you want to win and they might be on the other end winning, it's still good to see good competitiveness. So yeah, it's fun.
What have some of your favorite parts been about starting up a brand new team?
Uniforms. Picking out the uniforms was about the hardest decision I've had to make so far. Really just starting from scratch, and it's my vision, and it's mine in a sense, and I just really want to build it from the ground up, and I want, for whenever that time is when I'm done at Blackhawk, to pass it over to the next coach, and obviously they're going to have their brand, but it's already going to be successful and have a good name. So that's where the hard work's going to come in for me, is to really get some really good players to build up that program in the next 3 to 4 years. I think it's just been fun to be on campus and to be a college coach. I mean, it's what I've always wanted, so it feels pretty great.
I know for me, creating a brand new program, I feel like my mind would be all over the place with so many ideas. How do
Yeah.
you try and keep yourself grounded, or at least try?
Yeah, I make a lot of lists. I have lists everywhere, and they probably are very similar, but it's just I have to keep writing them down so I can remind myself. So much to do. We have 14 teams in our region that we have to play. So we have 13 games there, and then getting other games set up. So that's been one thing I've been working on. Fundraising to get some more money to get more things that we want, equipment wise, just a lot of things. And going to showcases next weekend. I'll be in Memphis, Tennessee. Just really getting our name out there. I think that's probably the biggest obstacle, and people knowing that we do have soccer. With COVID, it's been hard because no one's on campus. I don't know if many of the freshmen now at Blackhawk know that we have soccer, for them to know to try out with us. So So yeah, it's definitely time consuming. It's always on my mind. What can I be doing? What can I tweet? What can I say that's going to trigger some response? So yeah, I'm always thinking.
In terms of fundraising, I hadn't really thought about what fundraising in general, but what are some of the things you have done to fundraise for your new team?
One thing that we're going to do is our apparel that we have, that we're going to set up an online shop, and a portion of that will go to our program. And then also the men's and women's soccer, where Charlie and I coach, we talk every day just about, and we want to have a trivia night that would benefit both programs. And so that's going to be another big fundraiser that we're going to have. Hopefully we're hoping to have it this spring, probably late April, early May. So that's in the works right now.
I was just going to ask a little bit more about Charlie. About 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
I talked with Charlie about
Yeah.
starting out the new program from his side. How
Mhm.
often do you guys talk about, and what are some of the things that you talk about?
We talk probably almost every day, like via text, mainly Facebook Messenger. We talk about all kinds of things about fundraising, ideas about soccer in general. We sometimes talk about the different recruits. We'll send each other videos of players. Like, what do you think about this person? Things like that. Just we're very much, even though we're men's and women's programs, so it's separate, but I kind of see us as one program. We're a soccer program, and I want him to succeed, and I think it's reciprocal that he wants the women's to succeed. And we have a lot of standards that we want to live up to, because it is brand new. We don't want to fail, and failing, when I say that, that doesn't mean losing. That just means just not being successful, bringing numbers in and things like that, because it will take a few years to build a program. So yeah, we talk all the time. I'm pretty sure it annoys everyone around us because we're always talking to each other.
How helpful is it that you have someone there that's also able to, that is in a very similar position as you, starting up a new program in unknown in COVID times?
Yeah, it would be very difficult to go through this by myself, and it's been a help because we help answer each other's questions. We'll have Zoom meetings with our athletic director, and sometimes we don't quite understand it because we haven't been in it long enough, and so we kind of brainstorm about what was talked about. And yeah, it's already kind of lonely being him and I, because we don't have a team, we're not on campus. But it's been good to have each other, and our athletic director Arnie, he's been great, preparing us and getting things ready, keeping us included even though we don't have a team right now. So it's nice to have someone that my frustration level, he gets it because he's in the same boat. So yeah, it's definitely nice. And we bounce ideas off each other all the time about everything. So that's also good too.
Before wrapping up, I kind of want to jump back a little bit in our conversation. I remember you mentioning about a prayer journal you have. Can you talk a little bit more about this and how it benefits you?
Yeah, actually, it's just a coach's Bible, and my dad gave it to me. He was involved with FCA at Rock Island High School when he was coaching football there, and he gave me the Bible, and it is a Bible. And then in the back portion, there is every day has, from a coach, like an obstacle or something, and it kind of brings you back to God, and how to bring you back to those things, and how can I be that type of coach within my sessions, within the games, to opposing coaches, to the referees, things like that. And it really kind of helps put my profession into perspective, because it's a coach, they coach all different kinds of sports, not just soccer, and it does help. And at the end, it has like a little prayer, and then it has also like 4 different things, like questions, and then it gives you a little bit more Bible reading to do. So it's good. It helps me reflect, and I'm not alone, and it's not for me. It's for for God and for the girls. I'm trying to make them not just better soccer players, but people, citizens, because someday they're going to be out there working. So soccer is just the tool that I'm using.
How important is it that players reflect on their own game?
I think it's very important. I don't think enough of that was instilled in me. Growing up, I don't know if maybe times have changed or maybe just the coaching I had, but I think it's important for them to reflect and whether that's with film or maybe they keep a journal. I do know coaches that have done that before, have their players do that. Because I mean, every game and situation is a different emotion, so it's good to kind of keep track of those things. And I think it's important for players to see themselves play, not always being critiqued by a coach, but just simply to watch. I think it's important.
I think we also talked a little bit ago about how watching yourself back isn't always the most fun thing to do. How do you encourage players to actually watch the games and pay attention to them, even if they might not want to?
Yeah, if it's not the best performance, I try to tell them not every game is going to be perfect. We're going to have our really, really bad days. And that's when you hope you have your teammates there to pick you up. But within that film, find 4 things that you did decent. And it doesn't have to be consistent. You know, maybe you made a really good pass, diagonal pass to the flag, and it was into space. Your midfielder was able to run onto it, and nothing happened out of it, but it was like we didn't get a goal or anything, but it was a good, it got the ball moving, everyone up and things like that. Because there are good things that we do, but we're so in our head sometimes that you need to find the good. Maybe you had a really good throw-in, and that's something that's little and simple, and someone's gonna be like, well, it's just a throw-in. But if you don't have a good throw-in, it goes to the other team. So that's definitely, we don't want them to have the ball.
When you can tell a player is in their head about a recent play or the whole game, how do you talk to them or what do you do in that situation?
If they're in the game and the ball is on the other side, not where they are necessarily, I'll pull them over and I'll just tell them, just stop, just forget about it. You know, I mean, it is what it is. We can't change it. Whether that resulted in a goal, maybe a yellow card, like, you know, this is where character is built, and we need to move on. And this, I mean, we see it all the time in professional athletes, college, sometimes even high school kids have those moments, you know, where they had a bad moment, but they make the most out of that moment. And some kids get it and some don't, but try not to get into your mind about things, mistakes. Coaches make mistakes every game. So whether the players realize it or not, they do. So it's just, yeah, I just pull them aside, maybe take them out, get a break, and let's go back in. What that doesn't define you in the rest of this game. I try to remind them of that.
I think this is a great place to wrap up. I have one final question, which I ask every guest. What do you hope people remember about your impact to soccer and the world?
To soccer, try to keep it simple. But I try to keep it simple, not too fancy. I do love trickery, but like fundamentals are huge. I hope that's what I'm remembered for with soccer in the world. Just to, though the competitiveness might be high, to remember that we're all human, and winning and losing is just part of the game. It doesn't make you any better than anybody else. It maybe just advances you to the next round or gets you that #1 spot in whatever tournament, but just to treat everyone with respect. And I try to implement that as much as possible. And I think as I've gotten older and matured much more, that has definitely come about. So I just want people to love the game and to have fun and to enjoy themselves while they can, because you're not going to be able to play it forever.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Before talking to Abbie and also Charlie Ochoa, I never realized how hard it could be to start a new program from scratch. I mean, let alone in COVID years too. A few weeks ago, I talked to Charlie Ochoa, the men's coach, and I really encourage you to go check that out if you enjoyed today's episode. But there's so much that goes into creating this new program: the fundraising, the recruiting, the figuring out the jerseys and the uniforms, creating everything from scratch with no other idea. It's crazy for me to hear about, but it's such a fun idea and just so crazy and adventurous to do. And of course, I loved learning about how Abbie fell in love with the game and why she's doing what she does. That's always one of my favorite things to learn about: why people enjoy the game so much and why they even started playing in the first place. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and until next time, remember to keep the game beautiful.